we said that although all the human beings share some of the basic needs with them, but they have different cultures all over the world. Sorry. And
Mr.
this
Sorry
would,
if you called me or not, I don't know, but my internet just disconnected.
no
I,
problem, Amir.
thank you,
Amir,
Mr.
I'm wondering,
Yes.
when do you register because your name is not listed in the assessment? So I need to
I registered late, like 3 weeks after it started like this.
3 weeks
Yeah,
after the beginning of the school, right?
yes, I think like that, because I registered late.
Do you know maybe? Sorry. So we can say that at the 1st of October, for example, or
I don't know the date it's first, but I think yes, I 1 week I didn't attend. The next week I like was having stuff, and the third week I think yeah, the third week I'm still of the school. I don't know when exactly. What's the date?
after
But I think
3 weeks. Okay,
yes.
thank you. So guys, let's continue. Because simply we have culture variation all over the world, guys, because simply humans are able to meet or to fulfill their needs in vast ways. For example, in order to make it easier for you or in order to make it clear, what do I mean by you're gonna meet your needs with too many ways or in a vast number of ways? Let me tell you something. If you wanna establish a family, of course, logically, by using your common sense here in our society, if you want to establish a family, if you want to take care of your children, you will go to have a partner. You will go to establish a family by marriage. This is common sense. So, the family in our society will consist of two parents and their children. This is the traditional family. Even if I ask a student in grade one, what's a family? He will tell me father, mother, sister, brother, two parents, and their children. But in other places in the world, in order to establish a family, there is no need to be within the marriage criteria. Okay? And there is no need to have the two parents, maybe one or both of the parents, but one can establish a family. Okay? Like the issue of a single mother, for example, which they were discussing it, I think, 2 years ago or something like that. So there is no need to have the two parents. One of them would be enough. And there is no need to be within the marriage area. So how you're going to fulfill this need will differ from a culture to another. But we still share the basic human needs, like to establish a family. So the same basic needs that the humans share all over the world, we're gonna call it culture universals. Okay, so the culture universals are, you can say that they are basic human needs that all of the people around the world agree that these are the basic needs. According to sociology, we have 65 culture universal. Okay, like food, like housing, like family, and so on, religion. So sociologists agree that we have 65 culture universals. So what's a culture universal, my friends? That people needs are so basic that the societies must develop certain features to ensure their fulfillment. By culture variation itself, I do not mean that differences between cultures. Do you know that within the same culture, within the single culture, there is culture variation within the culture, not among them? Do you know this fact? Have you noticed this fact? Or culture must be the same. There is no variation within the same culture. What do you think? It might be
السلام
with.
عليكم.
Salam alaikum wa barakatuh. Yes, you're gonna
Yes,
start your
Mr.
talking after
Fee,
assalamu
there is
alaikum,
different
or
culture.
No,
Sorry,
Mr.
Mu'taz?
I'm sorry. I just entered. My device was lagging a little bit.
No, Abdullah, no problem. Yes, Mu'taz.
There is different cultures of
Thank you, Mr.
same culture.
Within the same culture, there is culture
Yes.
variation, right?
Mm.
Can you give me an example?
Like here in Saudi Arabia, there is the people that live in Riyadh. They, يعني, half of the time they walk in like cars and like moving everywhere and going to eat and like this. But there's people called Badu that always or sometimes are in the going on camels and camping in the deserts. So there's different between them.
So they share different values, right?
Yes.
Okay, this is a point of view. Who else? Do you agree to Mu'taz's opinion, guys? And by the way, there is no need to compare or to discuss the Saudi society. You have a lot of societies all over the world. I just want to know if we can find cultural variation within the same culture or not. This is my point of view, my friends.
Of course,
Yeah.
Mister. For example, in Sudan, the part that near to Egypt speaks mostly Arabic and clear Arabic, while the side that is to the near to Africa, to the rest of Africa,
South of Sudan.
yes, they speak hard or different Arabic, very hard to understand.
But keep in your mind, my friend, that we are talking about two different countries, North and South Sudan. They are independent countries nowadays, right? Two countries, or still one. What do you think? Anybody can help me here, my friends? Complete silence.
I don't know, Mister.
In fact, guys, Sudan nowadays is separated to two different countries. They gained their independence, so they have North Sudan and South Sudan with two different governments. Okay, so try to tell. Talking about the Saudi society, if you want to talk about it, let's say the Bengali community, for example, okay, or the Filipino community. Of course, if they want to practice their culture, they have some traditions, they have some folklore they want to practice. Okay, so this will be variation within the culture itself. And keep in your mind, over there in the States, we have a very famous example for cultural variation in New York. Chinatown, right? Chinatown. This is a clear example for cultural variation. My dear listeners, please do not let me talk to myself a lot. Believe me, I'll be mad by the end of this year if the situation. Okay, if you do not want to talk, let me see.
We're with you, yes, we're with you.
Khaled, Khaled, can you give me an example for cultural variation? Or do you think this is nonsense? There is nothing called cultural variation within the same culture.
Other than Sudan, the example that I mentioned, for example, I live in Riyadh, but okay, so I will tell you the difference in cultures here, okay?
Yes.
For example,
I heard Abha with a lot of scenes, a very good place, very good city.
yes, and very cold.
Cold?
For example, Yes, it's very cold temperature.
But it's good in summer. Okay.
Yeah, even in summer. Uh, for example, here in Riyadh, uh, many people go out and mostly go out in Mama, for example, a desert camping.
Yes, they will go camping over there in the
Yes,
desert. Yes.
yes. Maybe some places that has a greenery, maybe روضة خريم مثلا أشياء some places that are rare, you know. That's while they're in Abha and Al Baha, this region, we don't go out camping most of the time. We go out hiking in the mountains because,
Mm.
as you know, we have the most tall mountain in the kingdom, Jabal Suda.
Al-Hada? Al-Hada or Soda?
لا لا جبل السودة.
Soda. Okay.
ايه
So,
this is one example يعني.
thank you. So instead of going camping, you will go hiking because of your place of residence. Yes, this is a culture variation, my friends. Over there in New York City, you're gonna see Chinatown. Do you know Chinatown? Have you heard this name before in movies?
Yeah, it's a place in the center of New York.
It's a place or a neighborhood over there in New York that everything is simply written with a Chinese language. Even the signboards on the streets, the signboards for the shops, for the restaurants, everything over there is related to the Chinese culture. Okay, and of course, the majority of the people living over there are Chinese. But uh, there is nothing like a law forbidding other citizens to live over there. No problem. You can find Africans, you can find Portuguese, or no problem living over there. But the majority of the people were Chinese. In this place, the Chinese are simply practicing their culture. For example, it's among their folklore over there in their culture to celebrate their new year. Okay, and the timing is different because this year is different than the Gregorian one. As you know, the Gregorian one, for example, will celebrate the beginning of it with the Christmas by December or at the beginning of January. It's a national holiday over there in the States. But the Chinese will celebrate the beginning of their Chinese year by using their own way, by practicing their folklore over there in Chinatown. So, and they are using the Chinese language in their communication. Remember, 5 components of any culture. Language is one of them. So they are practicing their own language as a way of communication. Although they are using the Chinese language in their communication and in their own writings over there on the signboards, but they send their children to public schools. In these public schools, the Chinese children were taught English, not Chinese. That's the issue. So even though you want to practice your own culture in a different place, you will not be 100% practicing your own culture. Of course, there are some factors or some ways that will forbid you from practicing your culture. It's gonna be something like a blend, a mixture. Okay, so the Chinese children, for example, over there in Chinatown, are talking and communicating with other people in Chinese, but in the same time, they are studying the English language. Okay, So yes, we have subcultures within the main cultures. Okay. Of course, in order to establish a subculture, you must be a member of a group. And this group must have some common features like ethnic or racial background, like the Chinese. But maybe you have some kind of mutual interest, like your passion for music. There is a famous example, the hippie movement over there in the 1960s, when they started to practice this new kind of music in the 1960s. Okay, the hippie songs were simply encouraging people to demand or to seek more rights, to discuss the problems in their lives. But I think the hippie movement developed a little bit to be hip hop, to be later on rap. So they are using, I think, from my point of view, I'm not have I'm not having this expertise in songs, but now it's rap. So during the rap, they are simply discussing their problems and how to solve their issues in the society. It's 45. I hear the adhan. Your session will be at 45 or 50. Oh, you still have 10 more minutes. Good for you. Another example of small groups within the society will be mafia, organized crime. Okay. So if you want to live peacefully in the society, this will be subculture, a branch of the culture, subculture. Okay. But if you want to change one of the values, if you want to change one of the beliefs of the society you are living in, this is going to be counterculture. When a group of people rejects the major values and norms, practices of the larger society, they want to, after rejecting, of course, they want to change it. For example, I do not like the rule of anything in the society. As a group of people, I'm not talking about an individual's point of view. For example, I do not like the people to wear red hats, for example, or red caps, for whatever reason. Okay, so I will try to reject this norm and try to replace it. Let's change the color of red to be blue, for example. Of course, this is not an example from the real world. It's only an example. If you want to change any norm, any value in the society, okay, first of all, you reject it, then you will replace it. After replacing it, you will try to make it popular by spreading it among the people, okay? Because simply the value is shared belief, okay? So if the society accepts the other culture, it will be subculture. If there is some kind of disorder and you want to reject, you want to change one of the values, one of the norms of the society, it will be counter culture. Ask Saeed Al-Haddad. Saeed, are you here? Saeed Al-Haddad, where are you? Yusuf Thamir is with you guys, right? Yusuf Thamir and Muhammad Alauddin and Ayham Sami. The three of them are in your class, right, guys? It said here that they are in other conversation. Maybe they are in another meeting by mistake.
Maybe
Maybe.
Or maybe they're facing some problems logging in. Okay,
Maybe there's a problem in the Teams.
today, but I
Yes,
didn't
I
face.
tried to enter from my computer, it kicked me out and I couldn't enter. When I try again to enter, I put the code and everything, and then Teams said to me, "We'll send you a code on this email," and I don't have the email.
The email that you registered by.
الإقامة عطاء دوت مش عارف ايه
Oh
كده.
yes, it's not an email, it's only a username, right?
Yeah, I tried to enter today my computer. It kicked me out and I tried to put it again. Said to me that it's not يعني right أو في حاجة wrong.
بس الحمد لله that this happened after the exam.
Yes.
Are you, by the way, are you using the Teams for the exam or only Classera?
No, the Classera only.
Only Classera. So after you launch Classera at the beginning of the day, you're gonna see a notification for the exam?
Yes, they will give you a message telling you that the exam will begin.
Then it's the same like
الرجاله اللي عليه
the online.
تاسكس يعملها عايزين.
Sorry. Sorry, my friend.
تقول ايه يا أحمد؟
I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea. Okay. No problem. We still have 4 minutes left. No problem, guys. Let's continue our session tomorrow. Okay. That's something new.
طب مستر what I do بقى؟
For the lagging of the system with us.
كل شوية يعمل لي كيك اوت، بعد كده اخش عشان اعمل لوجن تاني بيقول لي انه هنبعت لك كود على الايميل دوت، هو مش ايميل اساسا.
Okay. Try it through Classera. Through Classera, Montaz. Okay.
through Classera بيدخل لي
Wait.
جيست.
Okay. Use the email. Okay, guys, you can leave if you wish.
Thank you, Mr. Salim.